United Nations peace operations safeguard people and communities in some of the most desperate places on earth. These operations comprise both peacekeeping operations and special political missions. Their work ranges from early warning to preventive diplomacy, from peacemaking to verifying peace agreements to protecting civilians, from negotiating ceasefires to helping parties implement them on the ground, to electoral support and observer missions. Collectively, these operations represent a critical tool at this Council's disposal to maintain international peace and security in a variety of contexts. Since the first special political mission and peacekeeping operation were deployed in 1948, our peace operations have grown, adapted, and evolved. Time and again, they allow us to mount tailored responses that have saved lives, reduced violence, prevented the expansion and spillover of deadly conflicts, and stopped atrocities. Peace operations are designed not only to be an effective example of multilateralism in action, but a cost-effective one. At their best, they show how when the UN comes together to address challenges, the burden is diminished on individual countries alone. But as we all know, peace operations face serious barriers that demand new approaches. Wars are becoming more complex and more deadly. They last longer and are more enmeshed in global and regional dynamics. Negotiated settlements have been harder to achieve. Meanwhile, our peace operations are confronted with a complex interplay of threats, many of which do not respect national borders. Terror and extremist groups, organized crime, the weaponization of new technologies, and the effects of climate change are all testing our capacities to respond. And I regret to say, geopolitical divisions are undermining peace. The bilateral and multilateral arrangements that for decades have managed tensions and maintained stability are eroding. Violations of international law, human rights, and the UN Charter are rampant, seemingly without consequence. Trust is in short supply among and within countries and regions. All of these challenges and more throw fuel on the fires of conflict. And meanwhile, our peace responses are struggling. We see a persistent mismatch between mandates and available resources. And we see increasing differences of views, including in this Council itself, around how peace operations should work, under what circumstances, with what mandates they should be deployed, and for how long. Excellencies, this is a grim diagnosis, but we must face facts. The good news is that, through the Pact for the Future, Member States committed to working to adapt peace operations for the future. This is an important opportunity to gain a shared understanding of what makes peace operations successful, what is hindering their effectiveness, and what new models we can use to make them more adaptable, flexible, and resilient, while recognizing the limitations in situations where there is little or no peace to keep. My recent proposals to you in the context of Haiti are a good example. We must keep working for a political process, owned and led by the Haitian people, that restores democratic institutions through elections. And the UN has a clear role to play in supporting stability and security while addressing the root causes of the appalling crisis. The UN stands ready to assume responsibility of the logistical and operational expenditures, including transportation, medical capabilities, and support for the national police, that can support an enhanced international force by Member States that is able to confront the gangs in Haiti and create conditions for peace.